My date brought her friends without warning, then expected me to pay for everyone. I refused and walked out. I never imagined I would find myself in such a bizarre standoff over a dinner bill, especially on a first date. But there I was, sitting at an upscale seafood restaurant, blindsided by my date's audacity and the entitled attitude of her friends. What started as an exciting opportunity to meet someone new quickly spiraled into an eye-opening experience about manipulation, social expectations, and self-respect. At 32, working as a software engineer in a bustling city, I had spent enough time in the dating scene to have my fair share of strange encounters. Still, nothing quite prepared me for what happened that night. I had matched with a woman named Vanessa on a popular dating app, and our conversations had been lighthearted and engaging. We bonded over our mutual love for old-school rock music, our fascination with thriller novels, and our shared desire to find a genuine connection in a world of fleeting interactions. Everything seemed promising, and after a few days of chatting, we agreed to meet for dinner. Vanessa suggested we meet at a well-known seafood restaurant in the heart of the city, a place I was familiar with but rarely visited due to its slightly extravagant prices. Nevertheless, I figured it was a worthwhile splurge for a promising date. We agreed on an 8 p.m. reservation, and I arrived a bit early, as I often do. I secured a nice table near the window, overlooking the vibrant nightlife outside, and settled in while waiting for her. A few minutes past 8, I received a text from Vanessa, informing me she was running a little late. I didn't mind. It wasn't uncommon for people to show up fashionably late. However, when she finally arrived half an hour later, I was taken aback to see she wasn't alone. Accompanying her were 3 friends, 2 women and a man, dressed as if they were headed to an exclusive club rather than a casual dinner date. Vanessa greeted me with a bright smile and a quick introduction of her friends before nonchalantly announcing they had decided to join us. I was stunned, but too caught off guard to immediately voice my discomfort. Instead, I managed a polite nod, trying to process the sudden shift in what I had expected to be a one-on-one evening. As we settled into a now expanded table, I quickly realized the dynamic was all wrong. I was barely acknowledged beyond a few surface-level questions, most of which felt more like interrogations than friendly inquiries. Vanessa's friends asked about my job, my financial status, and whether I frequented high-end restaurants like this. Their tone carried an underlying expectation, as if they were sizing me up for my ability to foot the bill rather than getting to know me as a person. Meanwhile, Vanessa seemed entirely unbothered by the way the night was unfolding. She laughed along with her friends, engaging in side conversations that left me feeling like an outsider at my own date. It became clear that this wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a setup. Whether it was a common routine for them or a spur-of-the-moment decision, they had entered the evening expecting me to take on the role of their generous benefactor. My discomfort grew as the group ordered cocktails, appetizers, and expensive seafood platters without hesitation. Lobster tails, specialty rolls, premium wine. There was no restraint. Vanessa playfully mentioned how great it was to indulge in good food and good company, throwing me a glance that suggested she expected me to simply smile and go along with it. The entitlement was staggering. As the evening progressed, I found myself growing increasingly frustrated. The conversation revolved around their social lives, gossip, and shared inside jokes. No effort was made to include me, nor did Vanessa seem particularly interested in having any meaningful interaction with me. I was merely an accessory to their night out, an expected provider, nothing more. When the server finally approached with the bill, my instincts kicked in. I was prepared for this moment, and I refused to be manipulated into covering the absurd total they had racked up. Before I could say anything, one of Vanessa's friends quickly declared that we would be taking a single bill. The assumption was almost laughable. Keeping my composure, I calmly informed the server that I would only be paying for my portion. A flicker of understanding crossed his face as he nodded, and proceeded to separate the check. The moment the words left my mouth, the atmosphere at the table shifted dramatically. Vanessa's friends exchanged incredulous glances, one scoffing as if my response was the height of rudeness. "Why separate checks? Aren't you treating us?" one of them demanded, the sheer entitlement in her tone both amusing and infuriating. I met her gaze evenly and stated, "I came here for a date, not to fund a group dinner." The response was immediate. Expressions of disbelief, exaggerated gasps, and passive-aggressive remarks about how I had led them on. Vanessa, for the first time that evening, seemed slightly unsettled. However, rather than acknowledging the sheer audacity of what had transpired, she took a different approach. She attempted to guilt-trip me, implying that it was only natural to treat her friends since they were part of her life. I wasn't buying it. The bill, once separated, revealed the stark contrast between what I had ordered and what they had consumed. My modest meal and drink paled in comparison to the luxurious feast they had indulged in. Without hesitation, I paid my share, left a tip, and stood up. Vanessa's attempt to stop me as I exited was futile. She trailed after me into the parking lot, her voice shifting between anger and desperation. She accused me of humiliating her, of ruining the night, and of being cheap. I merely reiterated my stance. This wasn't what I signed up for. I had no obligation to fund an evening for people I had never met, and the assumption that I would do so was, frankly, insulting. The messages started the next morning. Vanessa and her friends bombarded me with texts, alternating between insults and demands. They claimed I had betrayed them, that I was stingy, that I owed them compensation for the public embarrassment they had endured. It was equal parts laughable and infuriating. I responded once, simply stating that I was done and asking them not to contact me again. When they persisted, I blocked them, but Vanessa wasn't done. She took to social media, painting me as a terrible person who had abandoned her and her friends with an enormous bill. She left out the key details, of course, the part where I had never agreed to such an arrangement in the first place. I chose not to engage publicly, simply posting a concise response that explained my side. The reaction was overwhelmingly in my favor, with most people seeing through the clear manipulation at play. Days passed, and just as I was moving on, Vanessa reappeared. This time her tone was different. She claimed she had reflected on her actions and realized how unfair she had been. She blamed her friends for pressuring her into it, insisted she had overreacted, and even offered a proper one-on-one date to make amends. I considered it for a moment, then remembered the insults, the social media smear campaign, the sheer entitlement she had displayed. An apology didn't erase the clear lack of respect she had shown. I declined, making it clear that I wasn't interested in any further interaction. She didn't take it well. Over the next few weeks, she tried several more times to reach out, showing up unexpectedly at my workplace, leaving notes at my apartment, sending long-winded texts attempting to justify her actions. It became clear that she wasn't truly remorseful. She simply wanted another opportunity to benefit from someone else's generosity. Eventually, she moved on, and so did I. The experience, while frustrating at the time, was a valuable lesson in boundaries and self-worth. Some people view generosity as an expectation rather than a gift, and it's crucial to recognize when someone is trying to take advantage. If you've ever found yourself in a situation like this, remember, you don't owe anyone anything beyond what you willingly choose to give. And if you want to hear more stories like this, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, because you never know what kind of bizarre dating story might come next.